At my baby party, Mill got really angry and said mean things to me. She even tried to pick a name for my baby, but then she caused a big problem and the police had to take her away. I'm 29 years old and married to my amazing husband, Gary. Right now, I'm pregnant with our first baby, which is really exciting. Gary and I have been together for a long time. We got married 4 years ago. We've been trying to have a baby for a while, and we were really happy when we found out I was pregnant 6 months ago. We've been through a lot together, but we always stick together. The news of our baby coming soon has made us really happy. Every day gets us closer to meeting our little one, and we're so excited. Being pregnant has been a mix of emotions for me, from the excitement of finding out to those sweet times when you feel the baby moving in your belly. Gary has been amazing through it all. He's come to every doctor's appointment. We've read parenting books together, and he's helping decorate the nursery for our baby. We're fully focused on getting ready for the baby now, talking about names, decorating the nursery, and making plans for the future. Gary can't wait to be a dad, and it makes me really happy. He's fully involved, helping out with everything we need to do before the baby arrives. We're facing the ups and downs of pregnancy together, enjoying every moment as we prepare to meet our little one. 2 months ago, we decided it was time to tell our family the exciting news about my pregnancy. We waited until after the first 3 months of pregnancy had passed, and we were sure everything was okay before telling them. We invited our parents, close family, and friends over for lunch. When they saw my growing belly, their faces lit up with happiness and surprise. My mom started crying tears of joy when she saw me and confirmed that I was pregnant. She understood why we waited to tell everyone and was thrilled to become a grandmother soon. But Gary's mom, Barbara, had a different reaction altogether. Instead of being happy about the news, she got really mad when she found out we hadn't told her about the pregnancy earlier. She felt left out and blamed me for not including her on purpose. Even when I tried to explain why we waited, she stayed angry and didn't want to talk to me anymore. Her unhappiness made the family gathering less joyful. During the night, she didn't talk to me at all. She also showed disrespect to my mom, who had always been nice to her before. While everyone else was chatting, Barbara just stared at her phone, clearly upset. She told everyone how she didn't know I was pregnant, and she felt like she missed out on time with her grandchild even before they were born. My husband and one of his brothers noticed how upset she was. As things got more tense, I felt like I couldn't take it anymore, so I went outside to calm down for a bit. My mom noticed I was upset and came to comfort me until I felt better and went back inside. When it was time for Barbara to leave, she made sure to say goodbye to me last. But she barely said more than a quick hi and bye. Later, when my husband walked them to their car, they ended up having a big argument, and I could hear it from inside. Barbara used the chance to complain about me, making things even more awkward. Luckily, everyone else had left by then, so it was just me, my parents, Gary, and his parents. Barbara was really mad and told my husband she couldn't believe I hadn't told her about the pregnancy sooner. My husband calmly explained that we waited until we knew everything was okay before telling anyone. The Barbara started yelling after hearing this. It was a difficult conversation. Barbara, I should have known about our grandchild right from the start. Gary, Mom, it wasn't about who deserves to know. We both decided together. She just wanted to be careful. Barbara, careful? I'm her mother-in-law. She should have trusted me. It's all her fault. At this point, my husband got really mad. He had been holding back, but when his mom kept blaming me, he got angry. He told her firmly that it wasn't just my decision, it was ours. He said if she was blaming me, she should blame him too. He told her to stop overreacting and get over it. Barbara said he should see things clearly and not let me control everything. She said as his mom, she should have known first about her grandchild. But my husband didn't back down. He told her to stop attacking me and said he loved her, but she needed to leave and calm down before she said something she'd regret. As Barbara walked away, my husband looked frustrated and disappointed. I didn't realize tears were running down my face. Her words hurt me a lot. Gary noticed I was upset and quickly comforted me, leading me back inside. My parents stayed back, sensing the tension until I felt better. Barbara didn't stop there. Later that night, I got a message from her, and I felt really anxious about what it would say. Her message said, "I'm really disappointed in you. You purposely kept important news from me, and I can't forgive that. I can't believe you didn't tell me about my grandchild right away. This isn't how a family should be, and it hurts me. Instead of saying sorry for what you did, you're causing problems between me and my son. Shame on you." Her message made me feel really upset and angry. I showed it to Gary, and he was furious. He couldn't understand why his mom was being so mean and blaming me. Gary decided to call her and tell her not to send such mean messages because it made me feel worse. He even said he'd stop talking to her if she kept acting this way. Barbara seemed to listen to Gary's serious words. She changed her tone when faced with the idea of being cut off. Instead of admitting she was wrong, she suggested a solution. She said she'd forgive us if we let her throw us a baby shower. We were surprised by this sudden change and wondered why she was being so nice all of a sudden. She kept saying how happy it would make her to plan a big party for me and our baby, taking care of everything. Gary looked at me, wondering what to do, but I wasn't sure if Barbara's sudden change was genuine or just a way for her to control the situation. Even though I wasn't sure about it, Gary, always trying to keep things peaceful, thought we should consider his mom's offer. I told Gary I was worried that accepting her offer might make her think her behavior was okay. Gary understood what I meant, but he hoped that letting his mom plan the baby shower could help fix things and make our family happier before the baby came. I didn't really like the idea, but I agreed to it because Gary thought it might help. He told his mom she could plan the baby shower. She was really happy and thanked us for letting her do it, but I thought she would ask me about what I wanted for the baby shower too. The baby shower was still a month away, and I expected we'd work out all the details together. But I was disappointed to find out that my mother-in-law had taken charge without asking anyone, not even me. She bought decorations, picked games, and planned everything on her own. When my mom tried to talk to her about the baby shower, my mother-in-law said it was all set and would be a surprise for me. I felt really sad and frustrated because the event meant to celebrate me was being planned without thinking about what I wanted. On the day of my baby shower, there was a mix of excitement and nervousness in the air. I got to the banquet hall with my close friends, who were excited to celebrate the baby. When I walked in, I saw the decorations my mother-in-law picked out. There were lots of brown and beige balloons everywhere, like a safari theme gone wrong. I really didn't like it. The atmosphere I imagined was lively and colorful, but this felt dull. Things got even weirder when I saw a big banner near the entrance. It had a bunch of pictures of my husband when he was a baby with his mom, Barbara. Everyone was confused about why those pictures were there at my baby shower. I looked at her with confusion, and she just laughed and said she thought our baby would look exactly like my husband. She thought he was so cute as a baby and wanted to show everyone. I stared at her, wondering if she was serious. It seemed like she cared more about her memories as a mom than celebrating our new family member. As more people came, they looked confused or uncomfortable. The decorations and the big banner with my husband and his mom made the room feel awkward. It wasn't the happy and pretty baby shower I had imagined. I looked at some of my friends, and we silently shared our feelings of apology for what was happening. When my mom came in, she was shocked by the terrible decorations. She saw the big banner too, and I could tell she couldn't believe it. Instead of celebrating our baby, it seemed like it was all about my husband's childhood. My mom didn't say anything. She just walked over to the banner and took it down, showing she was determined to make things right. The room got quiet, and everyone looked at my mom as she took down the big banner that was taking over the celebration. I felt really thankful for my mom's support. My mother-in-law, who was talking to other guests, looked shocked when she saw my mom throwing the banner in the trash. She asked angrily, "What are you doing?" That banner was supposed to celebrate the baby and our family. But my mom stayed calm and said, "This party is about my daughter and her baby, not about showing off your achievements." Everyone around them stopped to watch this unexpected argument. My mother-in-law tried to take back control by saying, "I just wanted everyone to know I helped plan this party." She'd argued back, saying she just wanted to show how cute Gary was as a kid. But my mom didn't give in. She reminded Barbara that she begged to throw the baby shower after what happened last time. "This is about my daughter and her baby, not about you trying to take over," my mom said firmly. Everyone got quiet as they watched them argue. Barbara realized she wasn't getting her way and went back to talking to other guests with a fake smile. After the argument, the baby shower went on, and I tried to stay positive for my friends and family, even though there was still tension in the air. I didn't think there would be any more surprises from my mother-in-law, but she seemed to be drinking a lot for a baby shower. I couldn't really say anything to her about it, though. We played some games, and slowly, everyone started to have fun. Then it was time to open gifts. I was happy with all the thoughtful presents for my baby. But then my mother-in-law gave me a really big gift box with a huge smile. The room got quiet, and I felt embarrassed and frustrated. My mom looked mad, and the guests didn't know what to do with this unexpected moment. Trying to keep things calm, I forced a smile and thanked her for the gift, even though I wanted to roll my eyes. But things got worse when it was time to cut the cake. My mother-in-law got a huge fancy cake with lots of decorations. She made a big deal out of it, making everyone look at her. I was getting annoyed, wondering what she was doing now. We all waited for her to talk. Then she said she had the perfect name for our baby girl. I felt stuck when she said that, remembering we hadn't even decided on a name yet. She proudly said the baby should be named after her great-grandmother, with a name that sounded really old-fashioned. I was surprised and a bit annoyed that she thought she could choose the name. I tried to be nice, saying my husband and I wanted to pick the name together. But she wouldn't listen. She said she had the perfect name and that I should accept it, especially since she spent a lot of money on the baby shower. I was really surprised by her attitude. I told her firmly that only my husband and I could choose our baby's name, no matter who threw the baby shower. But then she started yelling at me in front of everyone. She said I was being disrespectful and should be thankful for what she did. She even insulted my upbringing, saying I should be thanking her instead of deciding the baby's name myself. Barbara got more and more aggressive, pointing at my face. My mom stepped in front of me to protect me. Barbara kept yelling, saying she was the real mommy of my baby because she gave birth to my husband, and he's the one who made me pregnant. Her words were really hurtful. Even though my mom tried to stop her, she didn't listen. She just kept insulting me and my mom. It was clear she had too much to drink, and talking to her didn't help. The whole situation was really uncomfortable for everyone. Realizing things were getting worse, I decided I couldn't take any more embarrassment. I wanted to leave with the gifts my friends gave me, but Barbara grabbed them from me and threw them on the ground. She said I was ungrateful and causing problems between her and her son. More people started paying attention to what was happening, and some even started filming. I asked one of my friends to ask everyone to leave politely, hoping to stop the chaos. But Barbara kept yelling at me, making a scene that nobody expected at what was supposed to be a happy party. I got really mad and decided to call the police to get Barbara away from me because I felt unsafe. Can you believe it? I had to involve the police at my own baby shower because of my difficult mother-in-law. When the police came, Barbara acted like she was the victim and blamed me for everything. Luckily, the police understood the situation and tried to talk to her. But because she was drunk, Barbara didn't listen and even yelled at the police. Things got so bad that they had to arrest her right there. I left with my mom and close friends, feeling really shaken up by what happened. Since then, my husband and I have been dealing with the aftermath. Barbara is trying to make us feel guilty and get sympathy from family members who weren't there. My husband thinks I went too far by calling the police. He thinks I should have called him or his dad for help instead. So, Reddit, do you think I was wrong for calling the police on Barbara for ruining my baby shower and pretending to be the baby's real mom? Update 1. I want to thank everyone for their support after I shared my story about calling the police at my baby shower. I've never seen my mother-in-law act so aggressively before. Usually, I only see her during holidays, so I never spent much time with her. Her behavior at the baby shower made me worried she might hurt me, especially with my baby on the way. Since then, all the guests from the baby shower have reached out to support me. Some even send videos of what happened, which I plan to show my husband. I'm going to talk to him seriously about what to do about his mom this weekend. Update 2. I showed the videos to my husband. We sat down and had a serious talk about what happened. I explained how his mom's behavior got worse from when she found out about the pregnancy to the baby shower. I told him about the yelling, accusations, and strange gifts. Then I showed him the videos and he looked shocked. Seeing what happened made him realize how serious it was. He apologized to me for not realizing how bad it was and agreed that calling the police was the right thing to do. I had no idea it was this bad. I'm really sorry you had to deal with all of that, he said, looking regretful and frustrated. He said he never thought his mom could act this badly because it didn't seem like her at all. He told me he was on my side and that my safety, especially during pregnancy, was really important to him. We talked about why his mom acted this way and how she always needed to be in control. Gary admitted he was worried about her behavior and agreed she went too far. I told him I didn't want anything to do with her after what happened at the baby shower. I said he could still talk to her if he wanted, but me and our baby wouldn't be around her until she got help for her behavior. Gary agreed, saying what his mom did was really wrong, and he was ready to cut ties with her too. I told him he didn't have to cut ties with his mom, but he said she disrespected me, so she shouldn't be part of our lives anymore. He knew her behavior wasn't just about the baby shower, but also about other problems. Gary promised to talk to his mom himself and tell her we didn't want her in our lives anymore. I asked him to warn her that if she showed up uninvited and tried to force me to accept her back, I would call the police again. Update 3. It's been a month since I last updated you all. Me and the baby are doing fine. I'm really excited to meet my child soon. Since my last update, we haven't been talking to Barbara. Gary talked to his parents, and his dad promised to talk to Barbara and make sure she respects our decision. Cutting ties with Barbara has changed our lives a lot. Without her drama and negativity, our home feels more peaceful. Now, Gary and I can focus on getting ready for the baby without worrying about Barbara causing trouble. Our friends and family have been really supportive during this tough time. My parents and close friends have been there for us, giving us strength and understanding. Even family members who didn't know how bad Barbara's behavior was have shown support after seeing the videos from the baby shower. Our journey isn't over, but this experience has made us stronger and showed us the importance of facing problems together. Cutting ties with Barbara wasn't an easy decision, but it was necessary for our happiness. There might still be challenges, but we're hopeful about the good things this decision brings. As we wait for our baby, we're focused on creating a loving and supportive family for us and our child.
All right, everyone's presentations are done. Nick, the manager, said as he tried to move the discussion forward. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me and began to speak. There's apparently someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. His lackey, Mike, of course, agreed with Nick. I'm leaving. After leaving the meeting room, I started to shut down my computer. I noticed that an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking, there's no point in speaking up, no one will listen, I went home quietly. The next day, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. He was staring at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick? Is something wrong? Mike looked at the screen with him. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Knowing the reason for Mike's distress, I thought to myself, serves them right. My name is Adam. My mother passed away when I was in the 9th grade, and I was raised by my father. Well, you could hardly call it being raised. After my mother passed, my father changed. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol, and though he still went to work, he squandered our living expenses on horse racing. Because of that, I had to start working part-time as soon as I entered high school. Every month, I went to the convenience store with bills in hand that couldn't be auto-deducted from my father's account. Even though I endured it because I didn't want to be alone, I reached my limit in my second year of high school and dropped out. I found a live-in job at a distant inn. Thank you for everything. The day I left home, my father, still staring at the TV, spoke. Take care. That was our last conversation. Back then, 18 wasn't the age of majority, so I needed my father's permission to work, and I couldn't hide my place of employment. Yet, my father never visited me even once. I kept working just to survive, and before I knew it, I was 42. Years of hard work paid off, and I was transferred to the headquarters. I was thrilled to be recognized by the company, as I thought I'd be working in the field until retirement due to my lack of formal education. Listen up. Our work can change the future of our employees. Don't drag us down. On my first day after the transfer, Nick, dressed in an expensive suit, spoke sternly. There was a reason for this. Our inn was located in a prominent tourist destination, known so well that everyone in the state could sing its commercial jingle. At its peak, we had 5 locations within the state. But that was long ago. Due to financial difficulties and aging facilities, only the place where I had worked for many years and the original establishment remained. I was prepared to lose my job anytime, but now there was a glimmer of hope. With the rise of social media, the tourist area where the inn was located started gaining attention again. Depending on how hard the sales department, where I was transferred, worked, we could either thrive or be forced to give up this prime location to the new hotel chains continuously popping up. For Nick, who had switched careers from another industry to strengthen our sales, this was a battle he couldn't afford to lose. I understood why he had to be strict. I will do my best. Nick sneered at my enthusiastic declaration. Did you not hear what I said? I'm sorry. I thought I was listening carefully. Out of habit from years of customer service, I apologized reflexively, though I had no idea what had offended him. Someone was watching me with a smirk. In this department, there are those who are expected to excel and those who have been shoved here because they have nowhere else to go. You are the latter. It was Mike, the section chief. He's 7 years younger, at 35. But he was called to headquarters much earlier than I was and had been moving around within the headquarters ever since. I'm not jealous, but I can't accept that he's my boss. Graduating from a prestigious university, he has an unusually high pride and caused many problems as a newbie, making things very difficult for me when I was the front desk leader. When I found out Mike was transferred to the sales department a month before me, I was disheartened. Mike is right. With just a middle school diploma, there's not much you can do. Don't even think about achieving results. As if I didn't exist, Nick remarked, I'm thirsty. Mike eagerly ran to the coffee maker. It seems Mike is Nick's lackey. I regretted being happy about my transfer to headquarters, wishing I had stayed on site forever. Send a direct mail to every company on this list by the end of the day. Nick only assigned me tasks that even a new graduate could handle. What? There are over 1,000 companies. You want me to send to all of them by today? Yes, if you and your fellow misfits split the work, even those with nowhere else to go should finish by today. I glanced at the employees typing away expressionlessly. They were worn out from customer service, only thinking about leaving on time, or were women reassigned after having children, with zero motivation for work. Even Sam, a new graduate from the same university as Mike, who was supposed to be among the expected achievers, had no enthusiasm for the job, having joined the company wanting to do customer service. I don't care what they say, I plan to quit anytime, he said. Only Nick and Mike were highly motivated, making all the decisions between the two of them. I originally only wanted to work at the inn to survive and had no particular attachment to this job. I swallowed my words, thinking I had no right to reprimand them. About a month after the transfer, Nick told us with a frustrated look. To commemorate the 50th anniversary, we've decided to create a plan exclusive for one group per day. Originally, Mike and I were supposed to come up with it, but our president, Mr. Thompson, insists on hearing everyone's opinions. So, you all get a chance. As Nick explained, Mike began handing out prints. Make sure not to embarrass Nick. If your ideas are half-baked, you'll have to redo them. It seemed that they had printed his handwritten notes by Mr. Thompson, which included several questions and a section for free responses. It made sense why Nick had to seek our input, given that all responses had to be submitted to Mr. Thompson. We were given a week to think about it, and a meeting was scheduled to compile our ideas. My plan is to let guests enjoy both the old and modern America. Nick began the presentations. Guests would watch a master confectioner at a nearby traditional sweet shop make sweets in front of them. The welcome drink would be premium tea in a bottle. Nick's plan was certainly attractive. After his presentation, Nick called on us to present in the order we were seated. Just as I stood up for my turn. All right, everyone's presentations are done. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me. There's someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. He was likely talking about me. I joined the company as a part-timer and was made a full-time employee when I turned 20. That was 20 years ago, so Nick and Mike probably had no chance to know until recently. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. After that, Nick kept creating opportunities to solicit everyone's opinions, purposefully excluding me from speaking. The meeting unexpectedly heated up and went past the scheduled end time. A few people asked to leave, and the discussion continued with the remaining few. Still here? Normally, you'd leave in that situation. Though I had no attachment to the job initially, hearing kind words from customers made me want to make them happier. For someone like me, with nowhere to go, the inn was my home and customer service was my life. I felt pathetic about my current self. I'm leaving. I left the conference room and started shutting down my computer. I noticed an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking no one would listen to what I had to say anyway, I quietly went home. The next day, while preparing the DM as instructed, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. In his haste to stand up, he hit his knee on the desk. He stared at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! What's wrong? Mike, thinking he should be the first to rush over, approached Nick while still wearing his coat. He peered at the screen with Nick. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Who is responsible for this company? Nick, more irritated than ever, asked, and Mike answered without checking. Probably Sam. Sam wasn't there because he was attending a morning training session for new hires. Nick gave up on getting angry and returned his gaze to the screen. They were looking at an email that arrived right after the end of the working day yesterday. Apparently, no one, including me, had checked it before leaving. The email was from a large company that used us for their annual employee trips. The president and executives of that company also frequently used our services personally. President of the company, Mr. Mason himself had declared that neither he nor his company would ever use our services again. Well, some companies cancel their employee trips or stop using our services due to financial struggles. Let's just move on. Mike kept wiping the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. Knowing why Mike was so agitated, I quietly watched their interaction. Do you know how much revenue we get from that company? We can find other guests to fill the rooms, but we'll lose the banquet costs, gift shop revenue, rental car fees, and more. Moreover, the gifts were supposed to be prepared by the traditional confectionery shop involved in Nick's proposed plan. If it's known that we incurred such a huge loss at this critical time, Nick's position in the company would be jeopardized. Nick took a deep breath, seemingly trying to calm himself. All right, Mike. Go to New York right now and apologize to Mr. Mason. What? You're coming with me, right? I have urgent work to do. I trust you, which is why I'm entrusting this to you. Please. Mike, believing Nick's sincerity, agreed with a determined look on his face, saying, yes. That's Nick for you. Even if Mike went to apologize, Nick would shift all the blame onto him if the client didn't change their mind. Well, it was Mike's fault to begin with, so it served him right. About 3 hours later, Sam answered a call from somewhere and repeatedly apologized, saying, I'm very sorry. Everyone watched to see what was happening. After ending the call, he informed Nick with a weary tone. When Mike arrived at the client's company, he only made things worse, further infuriating Mr. Mason. He was demanding, get his boss here immediately. It was no wonder Sam was exhausted, dealing with such a call right after returning from training. What is that idiot doing? All right, Adam, you're coming with me. If sacrificing Mike didn't work, then I must be next. Normally, I'd want to refuse at all costs, but I saw an opportunity in this situation. If I can be of assistance, I'd be happy to join you. I immediately followed Nick, and we flew to New York. When we introduced ourselves at the reception, it became clear how serious the situation was, as the receptionist personally escorted us to the president's office. Angry voices leaked through the door, making both Nick and me uneasy. "Excuse me. I'm Nick, the supervisor. I understand my subordinate has caused you trouble, and I deeply apologize." Nick, with his experience in the corporate world, knew enough to offer an apology before excuses. However, his customer service skills left much to be desired. I sighed as I saw Mike trembling like a small dog in the corner of the room. "What kind of training are you giving your subordinates?" Mr. Mason glared at Nick with a red face. The intensity of his gaze made even Nick take a step back. Regrettably, I joined this company only 2 years ago and was unaware of Mike's issues. I should have identified his shortcomings sooner. Indeed, I should have realized sooner. No sensible person would come to apologize and then give a lengthy presentation on the drawbacks of not using their in. Nick froze, his mouth slightly open. Suspecting the worst, I picked up the documents that had fallen to the floor. It seemed Mike hastily prepared these documents on the plane, listing the disadvantages. Disadvantage 1: if you change the venue for the company trip, employees might suspect it's for cost-cutting reasons, leading to a negative impression. Reading it aloud half-jokingly, Nick snatched the papers from my hand and checked the contents with a furious expression. Among the stack of documents was a receipt from a nearby convenience store's copy machine. I felt a pang of dread, hoping he hadn't shown the receipt as well. What do you think he said when I asked what kind of nerve he had to do this? I'm very sorry." Faced with the dire situation, Nick must have thought there was nothing left to do but apologize. In a voice smaller than I'd ever heard from him, he uttered words of apology. He said, "I'm a Harvard graduate. I don't believe I said anything wrong." "Mike, what have you done?" Forgetting his plan to pin the blame on Mike, Nick yelled loudly, even in front of Mr. Mason. "I didn't do anything wrong." "You're still saying that? Look at him." Mike pointed at me with a shaking hand. "I was assigned to headquarters in my 20s and now I'm a section chief. This guy only made it to headquarters at 42. Everything I've done proves I was right. So why are we losing the contract?" Having said his piece, Mike collapsed to the floor. "Of course. You were sent there because you had nowhere else to go." Mike never expected to hear such words from someone he looked down upon. He lunged at me, and Nick hurriedly stepped in to stop him. "Mr. Thompson told me Mike is a quick thinker, and to take good care of him." There's no way he was pushed aside. "Don't make things worse here. He didn't say quick thinker, he said only quick-witted, didn't he?" I don't remember that part." I recalled the many troubles Mike caused when he was a newbie. When Mike was on the front line, his pride was so high that he never apologized to customers. Customer service, especially in our job, doesn't work alone. It brings both good and bad situations. If the front staff or housekeepers made mistakes, or the cleaning company didn't properly clean a room, one had to apologize to the customers regardless of personal fault. Mike, in such situations, would never apologize, insisting he wasn't at fault. This often angered customers, and as the front desk leader, I frequently had to apologize on his behalf. He caused complaints and disrupted operations, which is why he was quickly moved to headquarters. In departments where he didn't interact directly with customers, his quick thinking was beneficial and things went well. But it seemed his flaws were starting to show. Corporate reservations are supposed to be entered into the system by the sales representative. But a quick check yesterday revealed that more than 10 items were missing from the client's reservation. The handover document clearly stated what needed to be prepared. Why didn't you enter it into the system? Why do we have to give them special treatment? Filling rooms near the banquet hall, setting up all the food in advance. Specifying the brand of wine, they're too demanding. No wonder he always angered customers, I thought, feeling a headache coming on. Grouping them in rooms near the banquet hall is for our benefit too. It makes it easier for the staff to set up beds and serve breakfast since everyone's schedule is synchronized. As for the other requests, Mr. Mason suggested them to lighten our load. I didn't know that. Nick finally seemed to realize that Mike was the one who had angered the client. What did you say to them? I just told them we wouldn't give them special treatment anymore. We shouldn't waste effort on things that don't bring in money. I was utterly exasperated at his lack of understanding of customer service. Of course, we shouldn't comply with unreasonable demands. But carrying over successful practices from past stays makes customers feel remembered and enhances their experience. Good memories encourage repeat visits. That's part of our job. I looked down at Mike, who was sitting on the floor. In our job, nothing is a waste. Mr. Thompson likely moved you to the sales department, hoping you'd finally understand this. How do you think he feels now that you failed to meet his expectations? Mike, tears in his eyes, fled the president's office. I was amazed he still hadn't apologized. You have it tough, Adam. It's okay, we're all employees of the same company. I deeply apologize for this disrespectful incident. Especially after all the care you've shown us. If it weren't for you, Adam, I really would have stopped staying here. When I heard you were moving to the sales department, I was willing to reconsider if you handled it. Seeing us talk so amicably, Nick's face contorted. Do you two know each other? Adam's service is excellent. I always requested him specifically. Normally, we don't accept specific staff requests, but we made an exception for Mr. Mason, adjusting my shifts accordingly. He had personally stayed at our hotel just before my transfer, and during casual conversation, I mentioned, I'm moving to the sales department soon. If I hadn't told him then, things could have been much worse. Please continue to take care of us. I look forward to it. On the return flight, Nick awkwardly offered me a can of beer. It's still working hours. Of course, I had no intention of forgiving him for a single beer. Nick might try to pin everything on Mike and avoid any consequences. While pondering this, a startling fact came to light. Nick, the tea bottles for the plan have arrived. I handed Nick a bottle labeled with our inn's name. They look good. What are you talking about? These are plastic bottles. I had assumed we would use the trendy, high-end bottling tea. But what arrived were ordinary plastic bottles of tea with customized labels. The only unique aspect was the label, which had the inn's name, making it look customized. Upon further investigation, I discovered that a substantial amount of money was set to be paid to the tea company. It was priced like bottling tea. Does this plastic bottle really cost $100 each? The tea inside is specially blended for us. The extra cost is for that. Wouldn't it be better to use another tea company? Or is there a specific reason we must use this one? As Nick continued to make excuses, I showed him a printed email. I informed the tea company's president, Mr. Mitchell, that we discovered irregular payments and he confessed. He said you two were high school classmates and planned to split the extra money. That idiot. Why did he confess? That's not important. You should worry about yourself, this could turn into a police matter. Opening the bottle cap, I suggested. How about calming down with this tea? It supposedly has a relaxing effect. Nick drank the tea frantically. In the following days, decisions were made about their fates. Mike was reassigned to the General Affairs Department, with no chance of transfer or promotion, as per Mr. Thompson's orders. As for Nick, since the payment to the tea company hadn't yet been made, he narrowly avoided legal trouble. Instead, he was encouraged to leave the company, and to avoid further complications, Nick submitted his resignation. Rumor has it that connections between HR departments have made it difficult for him to find new employment. Even though it was good to have those two gone, something unexpected happened in the sales department. Everyone became motivated and united in refining the 50th anniversary plan. In the end, my plan was adopted. We collaborated with the Tourist Information Center to provide personalized guides. The plan, tailored to the number of guests, was truly special for the 50th anniversary. Hey, is Adam's family coming to stay? I immediately booked that special plan for my family. Sam noticed it on the reservation list and quickly picked up on it. Yes, I'm inviting my father. That's great. I might invite my parents too. I lacked the courage to face my father just as Adam. But here, with the confidence Mr. Mason praised, I felt ready. The 50th anniversary plan was a perfect opportunity to reconnect with my father. I hoped to bring back the days when we could laugh together as we once did.